I'm afraid of change. Oh honey, I walk through fire for you. Just let me adore. Hello and welcome to today's video. I am Lauren and today I am going to be bringing you more on my emetophobia journey. So if you haven't seen the previous video on my emetophobia, this might be a bit random. So I'll pop the link to that in the description. So you're probably best going back to watch that one if you want to watch this. So this one is just a little update on like where I am with my journey myself, like things that have happened since that video, and also unanswered questions from the last one which I asked for on Instagram. After doing the first emetophobia video, the response I got was literally amazing. Like I expected support from like my mum and dad. Literally, like I was like really overwhelmed. Like it was mad. But the most amazing thing that came from the video was somebody actually watched my video and got in touch and said that they booked a doctor's appointment because they've been having these like symptoms and all of that, and didn't think anyone else suffered with them, so didn't actually ever speak about it. And then watching my video, they were like, oh, it's actually a thing. So they went and seeked help from this video, well not this video but the last video, and that like made my life. I was like, that's the aim, like it worked. Even if it was just one person, like that's one person that's like being given peace of mind from watching my video, and I'm very happy about that. So I'm not going to name names, but if you're that person, you're watching this video too, I'm really proud and I'm so happy that you took that step and started your recovery journey from this crap phobia to live with. So the first question that I was asked was, do you think your condition is getting harder to live with as you get older or easier? People would expect it to get easier because I'm like getting older and I should know how to like deal with it, but the older I get, the harder it's been, because obviously as a child, like you're still like pretty protected by like your mum and dad or whoever like cares for you and stuff, because you are still a child, so it's like you don't have to go out and do things for yourself really, so that care's like constant. Whereas now I'm obviously at the stage where I'm planning to like move out, like after uni, get a full-time job, and in the current mindset that I'm in, I didn't think I'd be able to get a full-time job. I'm struggling to think whether I'd be able to actually cope moving to uni and moving out by myself. I'd say it gets scarier as you get older because the responsibilities like piling up and it's like, I don't know how to deal with this. Next question is, what's the worst thing about living with the phobia? I would say just the constant like planning of what I do like pretty much every day, and also not being able to let go, because I do envy like my friends who like when we go on a night out they like drink to their heart's content, like they go wild. I don't feel like I can do that. I've been drunk but haven't been like really drunk, let's just say. So I do envy my friends in the sense that they can like let go on nights out, they can actually enjoy themselves, whereas I'm sat there like I could be sick if I drink anymore. Like people are drunk around me, they could be sick. On a night out, obviously there are occasions where people are going to be sick, but I've never actually been close in contact with it until it was the election night, and I went out to town with some of my friends. I was having a good night, I was a little bit tipsy myself. I went to an event called Shit in the Disco, which was like my favourite thing in the world. Like I absolutely loved it. And it was packed that night because it was like the election night special, and one of my friends was like upset about something, so they tried to like get out of the venue, and I was like trying to follow them with my other friends, and someone I knew like grabbed me out of the crowd and was like, oh my god, hi, like you okay and stuff, and I was like yeah. So I had like a little 30-minute conversation with them, and I was like, I'm gonna have to go and catch up with my friends who'd already got outside by this point. So I like carried on following, and I like bumped into this boy. It makes me anxious talking about it. I bumped into this boy, and the boy turned around and was literally sick in front of me, and that was the closest contact I'd had to sick since I had actually been sick myself, like all of them years ago. And I was traumatized, like, so I didn't go back to shinty for like a while. Like, I have been back, which is like a huge step, but it's like not the same, and like I don't enjoy it, kind of thing. So like when I think of going to that event, all I can picture is that night. I actually went, it was my birthday night out with my friend Casey, and we went to the toilets, and someone had been sick in the toilets. Like, I didn't see them be sick, but they was sick in the toilets, and I think Casey could tell that I wasn't like feeling it anymore. Like, I was so determined to like not have to leave. I was so determined to like actually have a good night. And then Casey was like, I don't mind leaving if you'd like to leave. And I was like, yeah, should we just go? So I'm very thankful for Casey. Somebody else said, I also suffer with emetophobia, and this might seem random, but do you avoid eating chicken in case you get food poisoning? To me, that's not random, because I understand. I personally don't avoid chicken. Like, I'm really, really cautious about it, but I am with like all foods. One of my favourite restaurants is Nando's, so for me to say like, oh yeah, I avoid chicken would be very false information. I am like really, really cautious about it, and I only eat certain types of chicken. Like, chicken on the bone, I don't trust. I have no logical explanation as to why, I just don't. Also chicken thighs, just because the chicken's slightly darker than like normal chicken, like, no. So I don't avoid chicken, but I do understand where you're coming from, and I am really cautious with it, but the same with like all meats and all food really. Like with like chips, my mum always tells me off because I like literally like squash the chips. Literally like squash chips, because if the potatoes not soft, it ain't going in my mouth, basically. I'm not sure if the position I'm sat in has changed, but I just had to run downstairs to answer the door, so I'm really out of breath. But I think we're ready for the next question. We are. What would happen if you were sick? And I don't know why I didn't speak about this in the last video, because I feel like this is a huge part of the condition, but clearly I wasn't thinking straight. That's not very attractive, Lauren. Okay, my ear's now safely back, hiding. So yeah, so I feel like I'm filming this video at the perfect time, to be honest. Because I actually now know what would happen if I was sick in the present time, because over the weekend I was, and I know it's going to make me anxious talking about it, but for the sake of the video I think it's important to like make other people aware, kind of thing. A bit of context, I was on holiday with my friend's family for her 21st, and we went to Centre Parks on the Friday. On the car ride up there I felt fine, and I was like quite surprised by that. So I was like, I've actually got a chance of like enjoying myself properly on this like weekend break. And then we got to the lodge, and I'm really like strong with my senses when it comes to anxiety, and when we walked into the lodge, like the smell of the lodge, it wasn't a bad smell, it was just like the smell hit me, and it gave me like a flashback to the last time I went to Centre Parks, which was with another of my friends and her family. And I did love that holiday, like I had a really good time and stuff, but there was a lot of anxiety there, and my friend knew that, but I got through that holiday, which was the main thing. So I started to feel anxious, but it was like nothing, it was bearable. And then as we were leaving to go for the evening meal with her family, we were walking through like the forest bit from the lodge, and it was obviously dark, so we had the torches, but like all of a sudden like I just had this like rush of anxiety, and I couldn't see like even like in front of me with the torch, like all my hero went muffled, like I didn't feel like I was there, and my legs just like went to jelly. So I said to Katie, I was like, is it okay if I like go back to the lodge? So I had a panic attack. It didn't last that long, but that happened. I like sorted myself out, and then I literally felt on top of the world after that, and I was like, what the hell just happened? Carried on and went to the restaurant, and I was still feeling fine. I was like, maybe now that anxiety is like past, I'll be able to eat, because I was dreading this evening meal. And then we sat at the table, ordered food, and I didn't really like anything on the menu that much, so I just got like a plain cheeseburger. when like the mains came over, like this was like the first proper thing I'd eaten all day. Like I'd had like the tiniest bit of cereal like in the morning, but since then I hadn't eaten. So I should have been hungry, but the smell of the burgers like came over, and I was like, because of like the emetophobia, like I pretty much always feel sick, but it feels like a different type of sick every time. Like I'm scared I'll be sick, but part of me doesn't believe I actually will be sick, because I'm like, it's just anxiety. But in this moment I was like, okay, I actually feel like I'm physically gonna be sick. So I just said to Katie, I was like, is it okay if I like leave the table, I'll go to the toilet? And she was like, I'll come with you, because she knows what I'm like. To make matters worse, I was obviously in a public toilet, which being sick in public is like 10 times more scary than me being sick at home, because being at home is like one of my safety behaviours. I haven't spoken about safety behaviours. I'll talk about them after this bit, because I think that's quite important to say. And I actually was sick only once, but I was sick in the public toilet, and I literally, I don't even know what happened. But there was no Cyrus in the toilet, and I was sat on the floor in this toilet like sobbing, trying to ring my mum, but there was no service, so it obviously wasn't going through. And then I was like shouting at Katie, like, make it stop and stuff. So I do feel really sorry for Katie. So I had this meltdown, and then I eventually did get in touch with my mum, and that night my mum and dad had to drive to the lakes and pick me up. Just for like a bit of detail, like I'm from Liverpool, and it's like, say like 1.5 to 2 hour drive to the lake, so my mum and dad had to do that like late at night to come and like get me. So it didn't even last like a day in Centre Parks. The day after, I was still in like a state of shock, to be fair. Like I was anxious, and I didn't have an appetite or anything. So I just stayed in the house all day, watched Pretty Little Liars, which I always seem to watch when I'm stressed, and it kind of like calms me. I don't know how, but it does. That day like gradually did get like worse in terms of anxiety, because I was kind of coming out of this state of shock. But once it hit like 24 hours since I'd been sick, it was kind of like a relief. Someone banging outside, do they mind? Once that 24 hours had passed, like I kind of felt a sense of relief, because I was like, I didn't think I'll be sick again if it was like linked to the first time. Then the second day, which was Sunday, I again didn't leave the house. Again, just watched Pretty Little Liars all day, and didn't really do much else, and still didn't have an appetite. And the day after, so Monday, I was off college, because the thought of leaving my house was not something I felt like okay enough to do. But I was in like a weird mood that day. Like I was really productive, so I ended up sending all my things off to university for them to like look at and see if they want to offer me auditions. I did coursework, like I did all these productive things, and I was like, what the hell is going on? And after all that, my boyfriend came round. I always feel like calm around Kieran for some reason. Kieran's just a blessing. And then Tuesday, I actually did leave the house and go to college, which started off not great, but as the day went on, like it was better. I still haven't managed to eat out of the house. Well, I had watermelon today, but I haven't been able to like eat properly out of the house just yet, but I'll get there. So yeah, so that's what would happen if I was sick. I have a meltdown. I can't leave the house for a few days, can't really eat for a few days, and it's just not a nice situation to be in. But it kind of put into perspective to me how hard moving away for uni is going to be, because when I was sick, all I wanted is to be at home. But as a few people have said, I do have to try. So if I stayed in Liverpool and didn't go to Bath because of this emetophobia, like I'd have missed out on the opportunity. Whereas if I go and I hate it and I can't cope, I've tried, and then I can come back and say that I gave it a go. So the last question before I actually talk about safety behaviours is what is the next step in my journey. Technically, in my last video, I told a white lie when I said that I could possibly go for therapy in the future, because I already was on a waiting list, but it was like something personal and I hadn't actually told hardly anyone. But now I feel comfortable saying, yeah, I was on a waiting list last time, and now I have started exposure therapy again, but I've started a different type this time. So I'm now doing imaginal exposure, which instead of like making a hierarchy of like pictures, sounds, videos and stuff, it's like I sit with my counsellor and I write out a scenario. So for example, I had a session yesterday and the scenario was like me being on a plane ride and the person in the row behind me is sick. So I have to like speak in the first person and write down like a script of like the scenario itself. Then I have to talk about like the thoughts. So like, what if I'm sick? What if someone else is sick? And afterthoughts is physical symptoms, so like breathlessness, like are my hands starting to sweat, like are starting to shake. And then the last part is basically the worst case scenario, so like the thing I fear the most happens. So in this scenario it was the person sat in the row behind me being sick. So I have to make this scenario in my own words in the first person, and then I have to read it out loud, record myself reading it, and then listen back to that recording on a loop and like imagine I'm sat in that situation, and then I have to talk about like the anxiety it gave me afterwards, and like have to keep listening to the recording on a loop until like the anxiety goes down. Each week we'll like make a new scenario where we do the same, and then after we've done a few of them, we can start moving on to like physical things. So like me trying foods that I'm too scared to try, like me stopping my safety behaviours, and just like putting me out of my comfort zone to like expose me to the fear. So that actually leads quite nicely onto safety behaviours. So my top 3 safety behaviours I would say is having water wherever I go, like a bottle of water. Like I don't leave the house without a bottle of water, even if I don't drink it. Like I've just got to know that I have a bottle of water. Another one is being at home, because being at home is my like safe place. Like whenever I feel anxious, I just want to be at home. And the third one is not finishing meals because I'm scared to be full. Obviously working against them is like I'm gonna have to stop leaving the house with water. In terms of not being full, she'll make me eat a full meal whether I feel anxious or not. The third one, being at home, she'll make me go out for longer, or if I'm anxious in the house, she'll make me go out, just to prove that like if you don't do these safety behaviours, you'll still be safe. So in terms of like length with this therapy, I'll be doing this type of therapy, which is imaginal exposure, for 8 to 12 weeks. And if that doesn't like sit right with me or work, I can get back on a waiting list and try another type, because I've tried in vivo exposure and I'm now doing imaginal. And there's one more type called interoceptive exposure, which is literally bringing on physical symptoms. So like you fake hyperventilating, and then talking about like how it makes you feel and stuff. I don't know much about that, so that's all I'm going to say about that one, because I've never tried that. But if those 3 don't work, there's 2 options left that I'm aware of, and that is meds and hypnotherapy. And hypnotherapy is something that I did look into, but with the emetophobia comes the fear of being out of control. And obviously with hypnotherapy, you kind of are, you're not fully out of control, but you're in a trance, so it's like someone else is kind of like controlling what you say and all that. In terms of meds, you can get meds to like obviously decrease the anxiety that comes with the phobia. However, because of the phobia, I am cautious of medications. Last month I was actually prescribed sertraline by my doctor, who I'm not even going to go into the process of getting it because it was a joke, to be honest. Like, we can speak about that another time. So I was prescribed sertraline, but I never actually took it because I was too scared to take it, because one of the side effects is nausea, and I was like like, I'm not gonna take it to stop anxiety if it's gonna cause me more from like the nausea. I didn't think the doctor saw it in that way, because the doctor thought it was for like mood instead of actual anxiety, but I don't know, I did kind of want to like level out both, but we'll get to that. So I'm just gonna hope that the path I'm on with the imaginal exposure gets me somewhere. So yeah, that's pretty much all of the questions and things that I didn't speak about last time that I've spoke about. I think I'll probably finish recording this and be like, oh yeah, didn't speak about that. But I just want this video to be like, say like 10 minutes long, just like a short, compact like update, but I don't know how long it is. We'll figure that out when I go through editing. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. Once again, thank you so much. Thank you for the people that asked questions, and once again, a massive thank you for all the support from the last video, and I hope this video can help some more people. Okay, thank you.